Like how me and him became two well-respected writers in this genre is funny because the first thing we ever tried to write together was garbage. I still remember the name of it. It was called Club Girl. It was just some cliche dribble that was just no good. But, maybe a couple of weeks later, I went, and one of the first songs that I ever wrote was, coincidentally, the final Pain song on Tasmania, which was called Tears of Time, is actually one of the first songs that I had written.
How did you guys link with Tasmania? I'm going to be, so I told you this privately, right?
Yeah.
That when I first heard Pain, and I first heard Pain later on into the Pain kind of wave.
Yeah.
Like I first heard Pain with This Heart of Mine.
Oh, wow.
That was when I first heard Pain.
Tasmania Level A.
Yeah. It was a blue compilation.
Yeah, with like a globe or something, or so Earth was on it or something like that. Yeah.
So that's how I ran into Pain.
Yeah.
And I had a freestyle radio show that was broadcast out of San Jose, and I started playing the song. That's how I came across Pain.
Yeah.
But how did you guys get to the level? Because Pain was a project on Tasmania that on that blue CD, like it was, you guys were set apart. Like you did not sound like all the other songs. It was like I told you, like again, I was about to tell you, I felt like Pain was kind of like adult freestyle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I started looking for more. And I started, hey, you know what? This other brown Tasmanian, Sarah was the next song that I heard.
Okay. Which
Right?
is a remake of
Yeah.
yeah.
Right? And then I started just discovering all the Pain songs, right? The Victim of a Bro, right? Like all those songs.
Yeah.
I became a Pain fan, right? How did you guys get transitioned from, that high school into like, hey, we're at Tasmania, and how did it feel to be at a label that's constantly putting out music?
Okay, so like I was saying about the high school thing, Victim of Broken Heart.
Yeah.
Hector wrote that in high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was written in high school. It's actually, we were a group together since we were kids. Like I said, 16, 17. We were called Fire and Ice.
Okay.
And one of the demos we recorded a long time ago was Victim of Broken Heart. Me and him recorded that, a few other songs, but not on Taz, though. This is just us doing our own little thing. Like
so you guys re-recorded it for Taz?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, I found a little studio. They didn't really know much about freestyle, and we were going there, spending our little work checks trying to make music, and we did like 3 songs over there. Deception, Victim of a Broken Heart, and I think we did Without a Tear all over there, which this is way before Taz. And then we wound up doing I Feel in My Heart as a demo, but I'm skipping ahead too much. Mm-hmm. But Heck wrote that in high school. Victim Bro Hector wrote in high school, just like I wrote Tears of Time in high school. I think we were both in internal suspension when we wrote. We used to go to internal suspension on purpose, though. It wasn't like we got in trouble. All you had to do was tell the teacher, like, oh, I left my boots, which you really didn't leave your boots. You just didn't want to be in class, so they would send you to internal suspension. But, to get a little fast forward a little bit, like I said, we were Fire and Ice. We were these guys who wanted to sing. We wrote songs. We knew we could write songs. We were good at it. We knew people liked how we sang. We did a lot of talent shows around the neighborhood, things like that. And then, we kind of went through a little something, friends go through a little bit of things, and we weren't like really singing together. I kind of thought like that whole chapter was kind of over, and Heck had a friend.
Around what year was this?
This is...
When you're thinking, oh, you know what this is?
92.
92?
92. I'm like, okay, this is...
See, the thing is I didn't really get into freestyle until like, whenever Biggie Smalls was assassinated.
So that's 95 or 95 or 96.
Right. Well, whenever that happened is when I started to get into freestyle.
Yeah.
I discovered it and I started buying CDs. I started going from rap to freestyle.
Yeah.
And so all of your story happened before I even got into freestyle.
Yeah. Oh, pretty much, yeah. Because, yeah, so, yeah, because we kind of had a little thing in 92. We were, like, really talking and getting along. And Heck had a friend a childhood friend named Carlos Santos. Carlos and Santos had a friend also, Andres Santiago, sorry. Andre, in no relation to Hector Santiago.
Got it.
They were wanted to be freestyle singers too, and they knew me and Heck, that Heck was singing and stuff like that. And they went to Hector and was like, hey man, we really want to sing, whatever. And he was like, well, I got this song, I Feel It in My Heart. He's like, I'll give you this song. So he wrote the song really for Carlos and Andre. And they kept telling him, like, I want you to do the song. They kept saying, I want you to do the song, do the song with us. And then by that point, me and him kind of like reconciled. And he was like, well, they kept asking. He goes, well, I only do it with y'all if Jenaro do it. And so they came and asked me, like, oh, we want Cito to do the song, but he's like, he's only going to do it if you do it, whatever. And I was like, well, you guys never, why you want me to do a song? You never heard me sing. He goes, yeah, but he just said, if you don't do it, he doesn't want to do it. And I said, well, I sang for them, like, oh, man, you guys are so dope, man. You guys are like, no, we got to do it. And so we did a little demo version of it and stuff like that. And at the time, we didn't have a name. They were called Intensity, and we were Fire and Ice. And then I know when we did the song, we were like, why don't we just form a group or whatever, instead of just like featured on each other's song? What else we got to lose, right? Like I said, this is around 93-ish. And I remember everybody's like, well, we need a name. And, come all these different names. And I named us Pain. That was my...
How'd you come across the idea of Pain?
Because it's the one thing that everybody understands. And I wanted our music to be as universally understood as pain is. Not to say the feeling of pain, but everybody understands pain. There's no one in this world who doesn't understand pain. There's some people who don't understand joy. There's some people who don't understand, happiness. Some people don't understand many different things. But everyone, no matter all walks of life, understands pain. And I wanted our music to be universally accepted as that. And everybody was like, no, we don't like it. They all shot me down, and there was a few other things I can't even remember now what the contenders were. And then they wanted to take some photos. So a few months or whatever later, we go to take this group photo, and we were going to get shirts made with the name of the group. We still don't have a name. And like, we're going to call it. I said, still like Pain. And they said, Pain. You know what? I like it. I said, yeah. And I said, it means persevering against immense negativity.
Wow.
And they were like,
oh, so it's an acronym.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but originally, no. I was like, I wanted to be universal, but then I told them, like, the other selling part, I was like, persevering against immense negativity. And like, we come from one of the poorest, most dangerous cities in America, and this and that. They were like, Pain, yeah.
Man,
like
that's
like, we like it.
Yeah, I like it too. And now that you gave it that meaning,
so I named us Pain, and it was born, and we
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
this
to
is your
cut you off.
interview, man.
Yeah. When did the Tasmania era of Pain end?
End it or start? Because we didn't get to Taz yet, but...
Oh, I thought we... Oh, you know what?
No, we didn't get there yet because we did a demo of
right.
Feel in My Heart.
Yeah, you didn't actually... Yes,
no.
Okay. These are all demos.
Yeah, so Jose from Pure Pleasure lived down the street from Carlos, the other guy, Carlos Santos. And he said, Carlos, like, I got a group. We did a demo, and he showed him the demo. This is Jose from Pure Pleasure. They're already on Tasmania. Tasmania 1's already a thing. And Jose tells Michael Astorga, hey, man, guy down the street got a demo. The music's not that great, but these guys on here, they're phenomenal. Like, they sing really good or whatever. So we went over there, and we kind of like did this audition for Michael Astorga, and,
And at this point, were the demos freestyle, or were they...
They were the guys we were working with attempted trying to make freestyle.
Okay, so you guys were already shooting for freestyle.
We were shooting for freestyle.
Got it.
But these guys were not good producers. And so they took the demo, they showed it to the people at Taz. And Taz got a hold of us and was like, hey, we want to get you guys to do the song with us. But we want to redo the song. And we were like, first we said no because it's funny. All the Pain stuff's pretty much been made in Polygon Studios with my friend engineer, my brother, my co-producer, my partner in crime, Rob Federici from the Polygon Studios, who is deep in his freestyle history. He's been part of so much. But we had went there, me and Hector, years ago with another group that their manager wanted to manage. This is way before we were paying. And the guys weren't too good. And we were like, me and my young naivete, I was like thinking it's just the studio that's also bad, And I remember like they're doing stuff, and I go to Heck, I said, we'll never record in this place. This is what I literally told them. I said, we're never recording here. And so when they told us, we're going to redo your song at the Polygon, I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We've seen what comes out of there. I'm not doing any songs in the Polygon. I refuse. And so they kept talking to us like, oh, no, we're going to do it. And then finally we gave in, and we went and we did the song at Tasmania. And it was the four of us.
And what song was it?
I Feel It in My Heart.
I Feel It in My Heart.
Yeah. It was
and that's a classic.
Thanks. Yeah, the four of us.
So the four of you recorded the very first song at Tasmania.
Yes.
What happened next?
So the recording of the song was pretty interesting, and there's so many different versions of the story, but somewhere the label was saying things weren't working, and we needed to whittle the group down. Like they were like, oh, you guys work well together, whatever the case may be. There's other variations of the story that it didn't go down that way, but this is, the story, I guess, that we're sticking to. And so the decision was made that me and Heck were going to just go ahead and do the Pain thing. And so the other two guys didn't make it to the next song. By then Pain was now officially Jenaro and Hector. Yeah, it was just us two. So that's when I'm the One to Blame. It Could Have Been Love. That stuff all comes from that.
And around what year was this?
So 90. Well, I mean, it was the song. Maybe it wasn't even maybe out because they never even got to do a show with us when we first came out. So it was like really almost instantaneously that happened. Like it was like literally, we recorded this song sometime in either late '93 or early '94. I can't remember. And then it was like before the song was officially released, or right after it was released, the label made that decision.
Got it.
And we shouldn't have listened. Like in hindsight, it's one of those things that I like regret. Like, why would we have let this label, do this to us? Because there was really nothing to gain from it. But being young and naive and thinking that this is your shot, so you make decisions sometimes that didn't make sense. If I can go back in time, I would never be like, nah, forget about it. We're riding with these guys. We got here with these guys, and that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And
so that's where your era at Tasmania begins. Yeah. And what was a roller coaster at Tasmania like? Like what are the adventures of Tasmania Records?
Recording was interesting because we were given limited time. Like it was like I think you got 3 or 4 hours to complete a song. Like that was what you got. And so you had to make sure you had your harmonies worked out, your backgrounds, all these things, because they didn't give you a lot of time to do experimentation. There was not a lot of time to go in and figure it out on the fly.
Yeah, recording was a lot more expensive back then.
Yeah, but no. I mean, like I said, no.
No? Okay.
No, but it was because, they were just, I think they was just trying to assembly line the music, that's all. Crank out as much as possible, fast as possible.
Now that you mentioned that, there was an era where Tasmania was putting out like a compilation like every 2 months. It was a
lot of stuff. The mega mixes, the ultra, all the stuff, so.
What I will tell you that I wasn't a fan of, of those compilations.
What's that?
Is that they were sometimes the songs were repetitive, like they would recycle. Yeah,
they would recycle stuff. Yeah. I remember. And here goes a real interesting story because it was something I was really mad about. And then when we did I'm the One to Blame, I remember we were recording it and they were trying to figure out a break. And one of them says, "Yo, we should use the thing we use for Joe Zangi." And I thought they meant an instrument. I didn't know they were literally talking about it wasn't until Tasmania Volume 3 came out and both songs were going, "Dugga dugga dung dung, dugga dung dung." I was like, they literally used the same thing. Like
that
so it
was
like,
noticeable.
that's when it was like getting lazy production. But like I said, we managed to be, to your point earlier, like we managed to be creative as we could. I mean, and that's also like a testament, I guess, to our songwriting and creativity, and also, we didn't settle for a lot of things, and I think because they maybe saw that we were talented and these guys kind of know what it is, and they would, when we would say, no, it sounds whack, I don't want it, and they would actually respect us and listen to it.
Okay.
So it would happen.
So Tasmania was doing the musical production?
Yes, most of the production was done by the earlier stuff was Anthony Ponzio.
But what was the direction? Because honestly, if you listen to Pain, the music production doesn't sound like everything else.
I just told you.
So it was you guys saying, nah, this sucks.
No, this is not good. Or like one thing I remember vividly was, so I Feel in My Heart's the first song we did. And the demo version was crap, right? And I remember the song was like kind of done, and I was like, I want an intro, like those intros that people will always like know what the song is, like from the beginning. And that was my suggestion. So the piano, it was because of me suggesting it, and Anthony was like, I'm gonna see what I come up with, and he started playing some keys, and we're like, yeah, that's dope, But that was born out of me making a suggestion.
You know what? And that's kind of one of the signature things of Pain. Like when the music starts in most of the songs, right?
Yeah,
Not all the songs.
You kind of know.
You know, like
yeah.
And it comes in with like tension, like with the drama, with emotion. Yeah. And it's just like.
And that was me and Hex. Our sensibilities, I guess, when it comes to learning the production side of things and what we wanted things to sound like. We kind of had a clear cut vision. Even we didn't know what it was going to be. But we kind of know, like, we don't want it to sound like that. There was a thing, and we always wanted, like, something to be dope or, something that was kind of unique. And also, I think because the way that we wrote, I think that also sparked something in them as well.
Yeah.
Because the way that we wrote wasn't the same run-of-the-mill things that I would think would make you, as a producer, want to go and try to play those same type of things,
I love freestyle,
Yeah.
But one of the things that freestyle many times falls victim of, and it's not a broken heart, right? It falls into like there's not much thought into the lyrics. So sometimes I feel like lyrics are just, what will sound? What can I?
What goes here? How many times you can say start, heart, and.
Yeah, and Pain was nothing like that at all.
No, we were consummate lyricists. Like, we were big on things have to make sense. Things have to, if we're telling a story, then the story can't just be random words I put in here because I thought it sounded good. We were like how can we be, poetic? How can we be metaphoric? How can I say this but say it in a creative way? Like, that was our thing. I mean, we could do simple, because like I said, Heck wrote, I Feel It in My Heart, which is not to say that it's simple, but I would say it's one of the more commercial Pain songs, So, we could do that, but it was more, we always wanted to be like, we admired songs like Regrets Only by Tomax. We liked people who had these songs that were kind of almost had a Euro feel and Euro sound, where the lyrics were kind of like out of the box. We were big students of Noel, of the Noel sound of freestyle. Fire to Ice was the first song that me and him sang together that people were like, man, you guys sound good. So that album shaped a lot of us, like the way the subject matter. If you listen to Noel's first album, the subject matter is not like what you would hear in a lot of freestyle songs.
Right.
Like Fire to Ice, I'll melt you with my love, the flame's gonna burn until the walls come down, So those things, they spoke to us. Me being a Prince fan, so writing and lyrics and all those things. And I was a writer first. I think Heck was a singer first and a writer second. He was a phenomenal writer. But I was a writer first, and I think a singer second. So it was for us, it was a great match. Like, where we could complement each other with that. You know, the songs that he might come up with on his own, which was good, but I could always like say to him like, yo, but you know, it'd be dope if this was like this, and he would do the same thing, you know, to me, you know.
So you guys complimented each other pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely.